That's what happens. All right, well, this is the Zen bitch slap way, yes. Disorganized, but somehow we make it through. I don't go to the website, so I went there to go on the Zoom, and it wasn't there. For some reason, they just erased themselves. Or it could be a sign.
It wasn't there. It wasn't there, Paul.
I know.
And this morning, your website was kind of jacked up on my phone. I couldn't get on. I had to call Mr. Stacy. So we missed Michael Z. Yeah. Bring Michael Z back.
Yeah. We've never had a very good relationship to technology. So, but hey, we're here, seemingly. So let's get to the point. So everyone here has been here before. I see Eileen and Jacqueline and Connie. Yes. So we had a nice talk with Connie last week, and it's just that step back. Yes. So there's a seeing of, when you see self as a topic, that seeing of self as a topic is also claimed, and it's used to represent the new seer. So now you're the seer of self. Yes? It's mechanical. It doesn't have volition. It doesn't have choice. It doesn't have maybe I'll go do it, maybe I won't. It's mechanical. The mental state arises and it claims what's happening to support its theory, yeah, which is it's happening to you, or you're the doer. Yeah, it's mechanical to get that through. If you only see one aspect of self, let's call it the thief aspect, you're now just taking on a new uniform as the policeman. And actually, for a lot of people I know, the policeman domination is worse than the thief. At least you had some fun as the thief. The policeman has the word perfection going around, and then you're watched like a hawk, and everything has a huge amount of meaning, not because it has a huge amount of meaning, but you're involved in it. So it's sort of like, it looks like you're trying to lose the obsession with self, but it's reinforcing the obsession with self. Yes? So as Ramana says, how can those practices that are actually being used to reinforce the self, how can they destroy it? Now, most people, when we're going about what we're trying to do, let's say trying to get better or clearer or get out of self, we don't realize there's a mental agenda that may be overriding what you believe is your agenda. So while you're thinking you're making a cake, it's making something else, yeah? And you got to eat. You got to eat it at that point. So, so if you can see, and this is just an understanding, apply it to what's happening. That's all. I mean, there is an awareness of things, and it feels like the thoughts are playing to an audience, doesn't it? I mean, usually I don't see your thoughts on your forehead like a ticker tape, yeah, going, this guy's an idiot or something like that. It seems to be projected this way, wherever that means, but it seems to have a giant drive to convince something of things, yeah. I mean, it's sort of like when I was drinking and using and I realized drinking and using wasn't good, I didn't go so freely into the addiction. I'd have a little bit of stubbornness, and it had to convince me. It ran in advertising, said, oh, it's going to be different. What is it talking to? It's very clear it's talking in some direction. It is, because it's directing it this way, somewhere, yeah? I don't say it's this way, but it's not out here, yeah? And it sounds like an advertising campaign, really. It sounds like it's got a product line. It wants to sell that product. And it just keeps, if you don't open the front door, it comes around the side, comes in the skylight, and it's basically just wants to sell you on this idea that you're a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. Where so then all of its mechanical activity, you call them yours, and you think you have a choice, or actually you have an order to change that, which just gets you more engaged in it, don't you? Yes? So when you become aware that you've been judging, the next step says, well, I've got to stop judging, which is a judgment in itself. Yeah, but you don't see it. You don't see that you're the joke in a lot of ways. But it can be sorrowful, it can be sad, it can be a lot of things. But basically have an understanding now are the vision, but we may not have a vision to see what's not happening. So we're offering a simple understanding to recognize it. Yeah, maybe you're not going to see it clearly, but you can have its modus operandi. It's going to claim what it's brought into contact with. Yes. It doesn't matter what it's brought into contact, it's going to claim it. It's not like a selective claiming. Yeah. And it's not like certain topics is forbidden. It will not get away with the claiming. Like I thought maybe spirituality had that certain immunity. I found out it didn't. Yeah. It's going on in temples and crack houses everywhere, stock markets everywhere. So it's just an activity. You're not the precipitator of it. You're not the doer of it. You're not the doer of it. Yeah. Yeah. You can be the seeing of it. If it's working its magic, you're taking yourself to be it, so you're looking from it. Yeah. So when you're looking from it, it's like you're so busy checking everything out, you never even look at your own shoes. Yeah. You're just out there. But in this case, there is an awareness of the manufacturing of self, because awareness is before everything that appears. Yes. In a way, it's the space, it's the context. And we are of that, obviously. Like it or not, you're not choosing to see. Your eyes open and they're seeing. Yes? I could have a vow, I never want to see a pigeon again. And if I'm looking out a window, I just may see a pigeon. Yeah? Because I can't not see it if it appears. Yes? Because that's the first and primary event, is the seeing, the hearing, the feeling, the tasting, the touching, the thinking. It's not the thinker, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the touch, or the thinking. That's after, yeah? Actually, in a way after. But because we're sort of like rushed right through that, we don't get to see what's going on from what we are, and we're immediately, the idea we're reinserted as this action figure. Yes? So the thinking never really shows the truth of it. It's thinking. Yeah? It's used just to imply the thinker. Yeah? Seeing. It's obvious. It's seeing. Does it seem to be exerting any thought or effort? No. Yeah? Okay. Does the seer seem to actually start before the seeing, or does the seeing predicate the seer? In other words, without the seeing, there is no seer. Yeah. Yes. But there can be plenty of seeing with no seer. Yeah. But the seer cannot appear without the seeing. But the seeing is happening without the seer. Yeah. So how can we, if we're like a member of a Greek alphabet, how can we live as an alpha when it's obviously we're a delta or a beta or a PSI? We're down the road. Yes, this idea. It's sort of like you're checking your pulse at the elbow. I mean, you're missing. That's all you need. Yeah, all you need is a certain suggestion to move you. Oh, now I feel it. Yeah. I don't feel the pulse. Of course, you're holding the elbow. Yeah. If you move up here, you'll feel it. So this is just we're sharing a message that will give you an idea of what could possibly be happening. And if it lands where you are, you'll see it as what's happening. You will. You'll see there's a manufacturing of a narration or an interpretation. And what beguiles us is that it's all about us, the us that we're not. And we could just get sucked up the ass of self in a way. Yeah. And when you're sucked up the ass of self, you don't know anything but the ass of self, really. Yeah. You have to get an experience out of the S of self to know how far deep you're up the S of self. Yeah. So hopefully that's what the Satsangs will do. It'll give you a sense of a different starting point than at Eileen. It'll give you a sense that Eileen is before Eileen. Yeah. 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 So this is a simple understanding of non-duality. The simple understanding is being ourselves reality. Yes. It doesn't say, and you got to realize the emphasis there. Yeah. The way the head would say it, ourselves being reality, yeah? But the way they say it, being ourselves reality, yes? But the head would see it as ourselves being reality. So it pictures ourselves being reality, doing certain practices or some other stuff. So I'm being reality when I'm sitting, meditation. When you're squatting, you're laying all the time, but you start having these selective moments when you're being, ourselves reality. I mean, ourselves being reality. But the fact is being ourselves reality. So the being is the major player, yeah, not ourselves, yeah, being. So this is the point, The seeker is the sought. Not this dance of the seeker and the sought, but the seeker is the sought. So it takes this and just goes like that. And when it goes like this, you realize there was never that. You just do. You just see it. I'm trying to play it in a small square. So, yeah, boom, this, but then you get a hit and it tells you there was never this. It's always been this way. You just seem to arrive at. So which one should be questioned there? Yeah, I say the idea that you arrived there, really. Because if you keep arriving there, you're going to depart from there. If you believe you've arrived, you can believe you can depart. Yeah. So we're cutting out, we don't want to cut out the depart. Yeah, because the part always comes after an arrival. We want to cut out the arrival. So upon having never left, yes, isn't dealing with the departure. It's dealing with the arrival. Yeah. Upon having never left, there you go. Yeah. And then when you see the shit hit the fan, the craziness, hopefully an understanding will pop up and say, hey, I'm not that. Yeah. And if it's not you, it won't carry so much meaning. It won't. Yeah. You having a bad day and then a bad day are completely different. Yeah. The day's exactly the same, but the effect is hugely different when it's you having a bad day. Unbelievably different. Yeah. That's the weight of the interpretation. That's what we're carrying. So like we were using this thing lately because it keeps producing images in my head about an old story from India about the guy with the big basket on his head. And his only hope is when he reaches his destination, then he'll be relieved when he puts it down. So until then, he has to suffer, right? And it's a long way to walk. And so but he's hunkered down in his fate, so to speak. And then a guy walks by him and says, hey, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to Madras. The guy says, there's a train that leaves for Madras in a few minutes. Oh, well, that may be too far. No, the station is right around the block. So now you've told the dude there's a way to get relief from this before the destination. And you figure, okay, that's it, adios. But you realize a couple hours later, you're walking around and you see him and the train passes you and he's got the big bag on his head. He's still holding the weight while he's getting taken to the destination. So you realize, I not only have to give this message, I got to get into the train with the dude because invariably he's going to keep it on his head. Yeah. So now you're in the train with him. Let's call it satsang, and you're going, hey, the train's taking you and the bag. Yes. Yes. So you can put it down now. So you basically afford a permission in a sense, And then the person now feels like it's permitted to put it down, and he does. And now that hope that he was going to get that relief hours later and miles later, the relief is available right now. He put the fucking thing down. Yeah? He didn't have to wait for Madras for the relief that he thought he was going to get in Madras. Yeah? He has the relief now. Yeah? And then when the head says, you picked it up and put it on your head, you don't believe that anymore. Yeah, because that's what it does. It doesn't say you're going to put it on your head. It says you already put it on your head. It says it's a done deal already. So now, oh, Jesus, I've lost it. No, you just believe something that's not true. You haven't picked it up and you haven't put it on your head. Yeah, this was a one-time only. You put it down. That's it. Yeah, your idea that you pick it up and put it down, pick it up, that's mental. That's like a mental dance that we keep having an affinity towards because it still has the smell of you. Yeah, but you're not something that comes and goes. You're not something that holds on and lets go. There's an activity that holds on and lets go, but it's not your activity. Yeah. So therefore, you don't need to be defined by its activity. We have this in recovery because most people obsessed with self felt an inordinate amount of responsibility. So like if they walk in a room and someone yawns, they take it personally, yeah? And I had the experience of my father. When my father passed away, I was 9. Before he passed away, he got sick when I was 6, until 3 years later he passed away. And so my relationship with him was going to change. So my mother and the doctor came over and they talked to me about it for hours. Yes, and I understood it, but how I felt was, what did I do to cause my father not to want to play with me anymore? Yes, that's how I saw it, from self-centeredness. Yeah. It got the first punch in. It didn't matter all the shit afterwards. That's how I felt. This is the bondage of self. Yes, it's an inordinate amount of responsibility for a lot of shit you have nothing to do with. So of course I wanted relief, and I got it through drinking and doing drugs. Yeah, because now nobody in my family invited me to weddings. Yeah, so I never had to go because you don't want Paul here. He's gonna fucking make a huge situation. So I come into recovery and now I've got to become responsible for my role in things. Yeah, this is how recovery works. So I tell the truth finally. Yeah, I don't put the emphasis on Wendy leaving me. I put the emphasis, well, what was my role in that? Where was I selfish? Yeah, and am I being selfish and self-seeking and frightened? And then you think that stops, but there's another wave to recovery, which is, after you look at your role in things, while you're looking at your role in things, you see something else's role in things, which we call self, yeah? Almost like a foreign activity or a pathogen. While when you look at your life, you're invariably going to see it in it, its activities. And now, wait a minute. So now I'm not responsible for that. I'm accountable, yes? It's sort of like, my dog did shit on the neighbor's lawn, but I didn't shit on the neighbor's lawn. So I'm accountable for the shit, and I'm accountable for the dog, but I'm not going to bear the weight of shitting on the lawn for 30 years because I didn't do it. Yeah, I'm very clear. I had nothing to do with it. Yeah, I make my amends. I'm not going to walk by the guy's house. I clean the shit up, and that's that. Yeah, but if I believe I took the shit, and then my head starts saying, every time I'm walking near huge lawns, I'm getting a craving to take a shit on them. This insane shit goes on, literally. Yeah. So this is a recognition of something that has taken us over. Yeah. Almost like dancing with a gorilla. You're going to stop when the gorilla wants to stop. Definitely. Yeah. So this idea that I'm going to stop doing shit I really have nothing to do with, forget about it. It doesn't work that way. You see, you not have nothing to do with it, and then things change. Yeah. Yeah. You now have the eyes to see what is and what ain't, let's say, you, on a big level. And now suddenly that all that guilt and shame, which is sort of like that giant thing the guy gets on the train with, is dropped. You lose it. Yeah. You don't even know how much weight you lost, because after a couple of tons of loss, you've lost interest in it. Yeah. So now you're traveling a lot lighter with your past, because you're not carrying a lot of guilt and shame based on you were the doer of everything that ever happened. Yeah. Because you're very clear you aren't. Yeah. Yeah. And traveling lighter begets more traveling lighter. That's what happens. Yeah. Yeah. Once you get a taste of it, more gets revealed, and you'll see what happens. And I found satsang is a very powerful event. A lot can go on with you sitting on your ass, really. Most people that go to the talks we have are horizontal, they're snoozing, they have a nice little drink with them. I mean, that's the easiest way. Just come into a meeting and getting relieved or getting permission, because you're not going to find it with that's playing God up there. It's not going to give you a break at all. It's just going to give you different forms of slavery, really. Yes? So, yeah. Non-duality is, for me, it turned into the last answer, which is in a place of time and space. That's a pretty good answer. It negated all need for any other answers concerning this huge topic called I am whatever. Yes. And the amazing change was mostly based on loss of interest, not gaining interest. Yeah. I lost interest in self. Yeah. Yeah. You can't lose interest in self as self. That's more interest in self. It doesn't work. So if you're in the condition of identification as self, it's nice to know. So you'll stop trying to get out of what you're not in. Really. Because it's not going to work. Yeah. Just how can you, if being ourselves reality, we're seeking reality, there's got to be an activity that's giving that sense. Yeah. You would think reality wouldn't waste any time seeking itself. It would just be in the constant state of being itself. Yeah. So what would seemingly cause, it hasn't, it's only in dreaming, but seemingly cause reality to forget that it's reality? I would say the act of being identified as something. Yeah. This action figure, Paul. Yeah. So reality is in the act of being identified as Paul. And I think it milked it as far as it could take it. And then there was a big loss of interest in it. I mean, seriously. Even Paul, we used to do a thing about movies. And if I was going to have the movie, The Life of Paul, about 40 Pauls would show up, and maybe a couple of women that went out with Pauls to find out they were right about Paul. And so everyone's sitting there very excited because they think it's about them. But as soon as they saw it wasn't about them, it was another Paul, they would lose interest in it completely. Yeah. Only the one Paul that it was about that would sustain the interest. Yeah. This is what it's like. That which you're calling you is not you. When there's a sense of that, you lose interest in it. You just do. Yeah. You don't have to. It's not like a Herculean task. It's just you lose interest in it. Yeah. Because based on it's not you. See, it's just simple as that. Yeah. And you'll lose, there's always going to be a modicum interest as long as the dreaming's going on, because it's the engine of the dreaming. It has nothing to do with you. Yeah. For the dreaming to continue, there's got to be a sense of being an individual, long-lasting, separate entity. Yeah. that sense doesn't mean it's a complete preoccupation. It's just a sense. Yeah. It's like there's like 12 squares on this Zoom thing. Let's say it takes up 1 square, not 11 squares. Yeah. So self is playing this thing. I can look into the movie at any time during the day. I can just tune in, see what Paul's up to, which is basically the same thing, and then tune out. Yeah. Having faith that Paul's in good hands. Then I show back, Paul's still whatever. And then there's less time, there's less need to check in. And you're in the 11 other squares, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that wants to get out of the square of Paul is Paul. The driving force for all seeking is the problem. It's not the solution. The solution is ease and comfort. The problem is the driving force to look for a solution, but it wants to find it as the problem. That's a bigger problem, yes? Yeah. It'll tell you, oh, I'll give everything up when we finally arrive at the solution, but it doesn't, does it? No. 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 So you see it after a while as slavery. You don't have to be enslaved for 80 years to realize it's slavery. You can see it maybe in a year, maybe 10 years, 30 years, maybe in 1 second. I don't know. But it has a finite end. You don't have to go through every year to realize. You can feel the slavery in a very small sample. Yes? You can see that the attention and interest is really directed into this self, like really directed. It's sort of like, when you're on those moving sidewalks at the airports and they have lovely little presentations like art projects, and you'd like to stop, but you got something keeps moving you. You can't stop on the moving sidewalk. It's taking you to the gate no matter what. Yeah. So this is sort of like the selfing. There's this movement of Pauling, yeah, and it's all fueled with interest and attention. If that interest and attention can be called off, which we can't do, when it's called off, that same interest and attention will be enriching your day instead of enslaving your day to yesterday and tomorrow. Yeah, it will be the same energy. Faith is faith. It's a force of nature. Faith's going to manifest in the vehicle it's put in. If it's put into the mental state, you know what it manifests. A lot of anxiety about what's not happening. Yeah, that same faith put into whatever the infinite, it produces an ease and comfort right now. It's the same energy. Yeah. So yeah, thanks. Anyone else? I could keep going off, and I'm just. I think Eileen's has got her hand up.
Eileen.
Okay. Paul, it's so good that you're talking about this right now because of course how it is, it's like the perfect thing. So I can't see you though. How do I?
Maybe you're lucky for that.
Oh, no, I see you. No, that's good. Okay, so what goes on here, there was a shift like a year ago that, what you call traveling lighter, right? And it's pretty much consistently been that way. With the one like minefield, which is dance. I do competitive dance, ballroom dance, and that's always like a situation where selfing goes fucking crazy, right? Like it shows up, it's a very competitive energy there. There's all this glam and glitz and comparison and blah, blah. But dance is still happening. It doesn't have a feeling of stop doing that. So I've done pretty well with being able to watch her. Like I can watch the stuff that goes on, and I can even perform dancing from like a bigger zoom, if that makes sense. And it obviously comes out better. Well, this past weekend, I had a dance competition to go to, and it was like I went completely unconscious, apparently. Like the entire day was I, me, my, mine, without even knowing I was doing it. It was like everything was feeding into insecurities and comparison and, you know, the whole thing. And then, I mean, it went on for like 8 hours, I think. There was no space. I was totally identified with the Eileen figure. And that hasn't been the case for a really pretty long time. And it was almost like when it was almost like I came to at some point, like I realized it and saw that had occurred. So then there was all that like aftermath, like shame and there was like a bunch of still residue of that shouldn't have happened. Like it was a continuation, even though I saw it. Do you see what I'm saying? All right.
Yes.
So that sucked. I mean, the whole thing was not fun. It was like I was a freed slave for a long time. And then I was like in a complete, like impounded situation. Like I was experiencing slavery without knowing I was a slave till later. Right. So I think the question I have is, you know, now as I'm sitting here telling it, it just happened, right? There was no fault of anything. It just is what happened. But I think I just wanted reassurance that sometimes that shit happened, like that there.
Well, apparently, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
It
you've
doesn't.
learned how to face life successfully. Yeah,
What?
you've
What?
learned how to face life successfully. Here you
Well, I
are.
think it was. Well, it wasn't successful during the
Oh,
time.
here you are, though.
Yeah, but it really sucked. Like
But I
it.
tell you, it really sucked for 8 hours, and then most of the time, it's pretty good. Is to me a winning ticket than having it somewhat suck all the time with 8 hours of freedom once in a while. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
Yes. So the thing is, what about gratitude concerning it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it gave you a flavor of what it used to be like most of the time. And now it seems so clear because it's not like that most of the time. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost showing me. I mean, I know this is mental activity, like analyzing it maybe, but what it showed me, there was a lot of gratitude for seeing, because I was literally like embarrassed of the action figure. Once when I was identified with her, there was no embarrassment. All it was like validate me, like tell me how good I am. I'm going to ask everything was about I, me, my, mine. It was almost like all that time that wasn't happening had been like building up. And this one day, it was like this thing exploded, and it was a complete unidentification without any awareness of not being that. Like there was no awareness of.
Well, that's not true. That's the interpretive experience you left it with, but that's not true. There's always awareness. Yeah. Yeah. There's always awareness of things. Now
Yeah,
the thing that
it's
gets
still that.
amplified has an agenda not to have a sense of the awareness of things. So it tells
Right.
you were never, there wasn't any awareness of things. It has absolutely no authority to fucking say anything. It's just it's like the language of a ghost. Yes, it tries to leave a huge impression, but it just disappears. Look at it. You're all right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all right. And I'm actually, there's gratitude, but it was very humbling once I
Well, that
saw it.
maybe you needed a little humility. So there you go.
Yeah.
See, if you believe that, let's say this is a seed assignment, it's not a selective, oh, this is how it's going. Everything is how it's going. So, yeah. Yeah. You'll probably learn a lot from that little event. So there you go.
Like I think I just see, I'm doing it right. There's like an aspect here still doing it, Paul, because I want you to validate. Like there's a seeking going on, right?
I validate it. It's like you're in the mental parking garage. You got to go through that toll. I'm going to validate your ticket. 8 hours. You don't owe anything.
And you act like a stupid asshole, like it's all about me. Everything was about me.
You don't pay anything. 40 hours. No pay. I don't care how long you've been parked. You don't pay. I feel like I should. No. Give me that ticket. I've stamped it. You've been validated. Yes.
Okay.
All the story.
It just happened.
All the story that goes around this rock of awareness has no quality that awareness has.
Right.
It's appearing. It's coming and going. It's like smoke that if you look at it in a certain way, it appears to be a thing. But when you see it another way, you see right through it. Yeah, it's the old snake rope story.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
it was definitely a snake. Like
so you share this now, and then you just put it to rest.
Yeah.
See, it wants you to keep going back to it. Yeah, because that's how you breathe life into it. So you've now shared it. You wanted permission. I've stamped your parking ticket, and there you go. Put it in. You don't have to go home and make sure it was validated. You got validated. You're now driving again. Forget about what happened. Forget about the parking lot incident. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it just happened. That it should happen. This just happened.
It just happened. But you know what? There's beautiful moments of lightness that happen all the time. We're very rarely sharing that. It's these little, it's like you know how it is. The head will forget a miracle in a half an hour and will dwell on an uncomfortable feeling as if it's the beginning of a lifelong depression. You have to see it's got a bias. So it basically, we're kicking dirt on the grave of the other day. Yes.
But you want
to dig it up, you can, but I just move on. Yeah.
One thing that was kind of funny about this, the way that it like shifted, was when I got out of all of this, my car was impounded because I had no permit. So then I go to leave and I have no car. But at that point, like it didn't even matter. That was the incident that kind of appeared, seemingly brought me back to, this is like bullshit. Like who cares? Like, okay, I'll go get the car. Like it was no big deal. Do you
see how beautiful that is? Because you were avoiding just getting the permit. Life stepped in, used it as the way to get out of your little hell visit, and now you're going to get a permit and you'll be driving legally. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a parking thing, but I got it. It was like the loss of the car when I went to get in the car and all there was a spot. And I'm like, where's my car? And I'm like, and then I saw the towing thing and I went, oh, they towed my car. Okay. And it was like it was just this weird thing where it went, compared to the 8 hours of validate me on every level, this was like a release, this was like, oh, okay, my car is towed. It was weird that way.
So you can say, it fits into the statement of the Course in Miracles, you and I are the dreaming of the dream, and we're going to dream ourselves out of it. So you dreamt yourself out of one aspect of the dreaming by getting your car towed. I think you got out lucky. Yeah. I was brought to maybe coming to by getting run over twice by the same car one night. I have a little. I got a resentment towards you, Eileen. I think you got off easier than I did. But it takes what it takes. What it takes. Yeah.
It's what it takes.
But it's dreaming. There's a dreaming, not oneself, but there's a dreaming out of the dreaming, and as it does, the dream gets happier. So, yeah, some other person goes through what you did, and then they come out of it, and they have a 12-year prison sentence. So, yeah.
But that could be not that thing, who knows? It could, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just happy to see you, honey, and
thank you.
See, it's like the mouse that roars, yeah? You think you've seen it finally as the mouse, and then you're sort of flipped out when it roars again, but the mouse roars, yeah?
Yeah, it's like,
us that take it to be the lion, yeah.
Right, it's like, what is that doing? And I couldn't even see it till like 8 hours, right? But
well,
anyway.
Some people it's 80 years, so you're way ahead of the curve. If it took 8 hours, some people is 70 years.
And it's just, I think the big message is, who cares, really? So that's, it comes up. But
exactly.
if I get identified again with anything, okay, that happens. Yeah, right? There's like, it just happens.
Well, honey, the beautiful news is you were taken for a ride, but you weren't on the ride. You saw the idea of Eileen being taken for a ride. Yes?
Only after, Paul.
Yes, but it doesn't. You came to that fact only after, but it was a fact all the way through. But you came to that fact after. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but it wasn't that 8 hours was true and then it wasn't. It was never true.
Right.
It just took 8 hours seemingly for you to get back. Yes. But watching, as soon as you get back, it's based on having never left. So did it take 8 hours? No. Yeah. It's a story, so put it to rest. We buried it. Your ticket got validated. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because this is what happens. It becomes like a necklace. So I had this moment and that moment. And that necklace tends to get tighter and tighter all the time. And you basically get strangled by your own necklace of stories. So this is just, it doesn't need to go on any necklace or any mantelpiece. You just put it to rest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. It's like
no big deal. That's the beauty of it. There's no big deal. Okay. This place is like Bizarro World. Yeah. We see molehills as mountains, and we see mountains as molehills. The grace and the glory of every day is so underemphasized, and then these little volcanic mental eruptions become like the history of our life. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. Yes. I know. It's not, it's just the head. You just come to know what it is. And then it's all like,
wait,
I'm not that. That's all.
Yeah, it was actually, now that I am talking about it here, that it actually was a beautiful thing because it showed me another very big part of what I thought I was, but I'm not. It
See, well,
showed
this only took 15 minutes, so there you go. We've arrived at it. Yes, there you go. That was a minor operation it took. There you go, honey. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
See, there's like when I went into recovery, yes. First, I went to Narcotics Anonymous, and it wasn't anything that was happening, but I saw the addiction being romanticized. Yes, leather jacket, tattoos. I shot up. I was a junkie, and I figured, something had turned in me, and that's what I wasn't looking for. That, so I went to the old brown paper bag AA. Yeah, where a lot of old dudes were smoking and shit like that. And who wants to be recognized as an alcoholic? An addict can be very romantic, thrilling. But I got much more grounded by AA in my own personal experience. Yeah. Even though I qualified for Narcotics Anonymous, probably more than AA, really, because I was much more in love with narcotics than I was with alcohol. But thank God I was under a new doctor, and that doctor wanted me just to go to AA where there was it was over. No more romanticizing. No more, yes, it's buried. I don't want to dig it up every fucking week with another story. Yes, it's over. Yeah, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the past is almost like a burial ground. You don't have to exhume the body. It's just, all right. I've had, tons of people have gone through tons of terrible things and peak experiences and shit. And really, the dog shit awareness is where it's at. It's just always available at all times, right where you are. It doesn't need a setting. It doesn't need certain conditions. It's not like an action movie or an adventure story. It could, but it doesn't usually. It's just available at all times, right where you are. Yeah. And then you can see all the coming and goings and not sign up for the comings and goings as much. Yeah. So, because you're going to arrive, you are going to always come back from which you've never left. It's always going to happen. So you can spend 8 hours, 20 years, this and that. It just can't withstand. It can't sustain itself. It's finite. It's a finite activity. Yeah, it can only cover a little stretch in space and time of infinity. That's the only way it can cover it up. Yeah, and there's constantly holes blasted through it. There's constantly seeing right through the stories. Yeah. So, yeah. The signposts, all the signposts are now to me that I'm following. Just follow the signpost of right now. Yeah. When people want to ask you, well, didn't something happen to you? Yeah, millions of things seemingly have happened.
Yeah.
Are you awake? Well, if it's a present tense verb, yes, I think we all are in that category. Did you have an awakening event? I hope not. I'd rather not get strangled by that.
If we are unaware that we're aware for 8 hours or 20 years or whatever, so what? It doesn't even, it's part of the dreaming.
You're getting on it. Now you're going. Now you're getting there, babe. That's good. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
good. See, its importance is given to it by us.
Right.
Yeah. When that starts getting withdrawn, not by you withdrawing it, but by seeing, the last thing the most hateful medicine it has is that it's irrelevant. It just oozes a desire and a need to be relevant. So either you're never going to get there if it doesn't sign up, or it's going to block you off from the sunlight of the spirit, all this stuff. It has no ability. It's given it by us believing some shit. Yeah. So, yeah. And again, yes, 80 years. 80 years I was lost in the wilderness. Yeah. That's like a blink of an eye in some other aspect. You know what I mean? I can't believe how bad it was. Let me tell you, and over and over and over again. No, please, please don't. You're just exhuming the body every day.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what it was like to be a drug addict. No, I don't. I use it only when it's appropriate. I don't want, you know.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, that leather jacket was buried 34 years ago. I don't want to keep digging it up. Sometimes it's helpful to others. That's value, but not, you know, yeah. So peak experience are forgotten just like 8 hours of seemingly totally up the ass of self. I forget both aspects. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's too much of nothing going on right now.
Yeah. It just is. It's like, who cares? It just
Yeah,
is what
well, that's the thing. Saying it and then feeling it is different, and it will lead you to really who cares. Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're indifferent. It's just, it means other things. But yeah. Yeah. So thank you. We better move to someone else.
Yeah. Please, please.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Anyone, honey?
All we have 3 minutes, so if you just want to say goodbye.
Oh, that was it. All right. Yeah. Well, we should. Do we have any time? Is there someone coming on at 5:30?
Yes, the lovely Rhoda Macklin.
Oh, Rhoda, I can't step on her toes. No way. No way, Jose. So let me say, first of all, I'm sorry for the whatever, the beginning. And yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming, and yeah. I hope that you start sensing a traveling lighter. It's not going to be like a peak experience. It's going to be yeah. It's like syrup being poured on a pancake. It spreads over the whole thing. Yeah? Yeah. So you can't actually tell where the contact is. It's just vague. But traveling lighter is, yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to say, Saina, we missed you, first of all. I mean, you're an incredible hostess. You are. Yes. You are. Thank you so much. Yeah. We got Connie. Connie, always a pleasure. Yes. We got Bill and Kathleen. I think I've seen them earlier today. Yes. Nice to see you guys. And we got I'm gonna try to say this word right. Is it Daliana? Daliana? Close? Yeah. Thank you. Eileen, she's a homegirl from Long Island, eh? Yes. Remember, Eileen, and everyone here, like it or not, you're a lifetime member of Zen Bitch Slap now. So, yeah. Yeah. You might as well just submit. All right. We got Andy W. Andy, thank you for your lovely donation. Appreciate it. And, your donation just coming here of your interest and time. Kerry, always a pleasure, Kerry. How's our girl doing? Is she all right, Judith?
Wait, Judith is super fantastic. Yes, had dinner with her last night from the same place, the Thai place with the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's good. She's working. Like right now she's working, but yeah, Paul.
Tell
She's
her
getting ready
I
for
said hello.
she's getting ready for your next visit. You're not going to recognize the place, for real.
All right. Great. All right. We got, Reverend George. Wow. Nice to see you, Rev. We got Jacqueline. Oh, Jacqueline's in a different setting today. She's in a kitchen. Yeah, that's right. Nice to see you, Jacqueline. Hey, we're having a retreat with Awakening Together. I have the privilege to be in Colorado in June for a 5-day thing, yes? 5 days of this is going to be something else. Jeez.
I can't
Yeah.
wait. I'm so excited.
Wow, that's going to be, let's hopefully they get enough people that it makes sense for them. So, yeah. I don't want to end up having to threaten you to go. So I'll just start with, like this. All right, Rhoda. Nice to see you, Rhoda. Yeah, so it's on the websites and it's on your website, right? Yeah, yeah. So it's I think, yeah, 3 days, whatever. It'll be nice. Jacqueline. Oh, I just said hello to her. We got, the donate here. We let's see who's here. Oh, Anne. Nice to see you, Anne. I don't know who else. They've all disappeared now. George, Anne. Well, it's appreciated. Thank you. Had a great day. Yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
Paul. Thanks for your time, always.
Yeah. My